tonight, you're a diner having your dinner. What should you do as a sort of member of the public, a civilian?
Right. The first thing we always tell people, if it sounds like a shooting, believe it is, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. But the idea is, we always say, when you get into a location, look for the exit spots. Have a plan in mind. In this case, no one knew where the shooter was, so sometimes getting low and waiting to understand what's going on is the best idea. Get under the tables. Cover and concealment. As we talk about, in this case, it would be concealment under a table. There's no protection, but you're out of sight until you know what's going on. Because if you just run out in mad rush, you might be running right into the shooter if you don't know where the shooter's coming from.
Okay,
and of course, follow police instructions.
Yeah, of course. Michael, thanks very much. Really appreciate you being on with us on GB News during this breaking incident. Appreciate it. Michael Tadman, former FBI agent. Talking of the FBI, they have reportedly confirmed that the shooter was in possession, unbelievably, Thomas Corbett Dillon. You were there tonight. You very generously rushed down a couple of blocks to the GB News studio. He was armed with a shotgun. This guy.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And maybe it was a sawn-off shotgun, so it was easier to get in the trousers. But as I said, I could have, and also, of course, people were taking. It was been very rainy. People were taking big umbrellas in. Maybe it was in an umbrella. We don't know any of these things, but it was possible to get pretty much anything into that hotel lobby. Into the room was a tougher situation, but into that lobby was pretty open. And I think you'll hear the journalists who also, there's Fox News guys just rush back. So yeah, so it sounds like everyone in that room is probably pretty traumatized to experiencing them themselves.
You just showed me a picture as well of RFK Jr.
Yes, he's the only one that wasn't under the table. He's still sitting in his chair. Like I said, he's a pro at these sorts of situations. He's lost his uncle, his father. It's sad, but I'm sure he's pretty numb to these sorts of things.
Yeah, it's a fascinating picture. It's him, basically. We'll see if we can get it for you. It's RFK Jr. sat at the table defiantly, refusing to cower, whilst diners around him are taking cover. Charlie Rowley, you're still down the line in London. Thank you for sticking with us. It's been a really dramatic evening here on GB News. Just as a quick reminder, if anybody's just tuning in for the first time, President Trump has been whisked off stage at the Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C. This is the moment on your screen now where Secret Service agents bundle him to the floor at the White House Correspondents' dinner. He was due to give a big speech at the dinner. This is the moment when the gunshots rained out. He was due to give a speech at the dinner about freedom of the press. It was meant to be light-hearted, full of gags. 5 shots rained out in the lobby near the bar of the hotel, just yards from the ballroom where the president and his cabinet were sitting, and indeed journalists from all around the world. And we understand, according to the FBI, a shooter armed with a shotgun tried to break through to the ballroom past security scanners and opened fire on a Secret Service agent. They returned fire, apparently, and the shooter has been apprehended alive. That's what we know so far. And the president, Charlie Rowley, is due to take to the press briefing room at the White House in a matter of moments. What do you expect him to say, Charlie? What would you advise him as a former advisor of Michael Gove? No comparison, I guess, Michael Gove and President Trump, but what would you advise President Trump right at this moment?
Well, I think there'll be a big discussion about the kind of tone that you've got to take. Do you come out and be completely defiant? Do you try and take the tension, as I think it was rightly being talked about a second ago, all the people in that room, all those journalists, they will be shaken up, you'd imagine, by what they've just had to experience. So how do you play it? I think, but knowing Donald Trump as we all do from what we see, I think he will make it absolutely clear that, whatever's happened this evening will not derail his agenda. It will only strengthen his resolve. He will double down in all the areas of policy that he's trying to achieve, and the event will come back. It will come back in 30 days, if not before. He will not be deterred. But you've got to feel for him. Even if you don't support him, he has been going through, I think, a situation where the Iran war is not something that I think it's not in a position where he thought it would be all these weeks in. He's obviously come up against Keir Starmer. He's been rubbing other leaders up the wrong way. They've had a pretty difficult time, I think, in the White House on the international stage. I think this tonight would have been a great event for him to be able to let loose and to actually have a good laugh at everybody, whether it's in Washington, whether it's around the world. It would have been actually something to look forward to. But now him and again, one of your rather